Alright, I was playing around with some different hook bait configurations today. I thought I'd share this with you here. This first one is my usual rig here. This is my 99% rig. There's the sinker, which usually has pack bait on it. No pack bait on there today, but I'm just testing out the hook baits. These are just 2 tiger nuts. That's what I've been fishing with a lot of the time. Most of 2023, this is my primary bait here. It's just 2 tiger nuts on the hair. As you can see, that sinks to the bottom, just lays there on the bottom. Caught lots of fish with this rig here. Works great. 2 tiger nuts. Next up, I have 1 tiger nut and 1 little piece of cork. This piece of cork is about the size of a kernel of corn. It's a little bit smaller than the tiger nut, a little bit thinner. And I was just curious to see what kind of buoyancy it provides. And as you can see, it lifts the bait up off the bottom, but not enough to get the hook up off the bottom. This is kind of interesting. I don't know if I'm going to use this or not. But some extra buoyancy is nice. Not sure if I like how the hook point is kind of getting drug around on the bottom there. I think I'd probably want either more buoyancy or less buoyancy. I don't think I'm going to use this configuration. And next is a very similar bait. It's just the cork is slightly larger. I cut the cork to be about the same size as the tiger nut. So I've got 1 tiger nut and 1 cork of equal size. And as you can see, it lifts the whole thing up off the bottom. And I think that could be useful in some situations to have the bait and the hook lifted up 2-3 inches off the bottom like that. Now here's that same thing, except I've just added a small split shot that's on the leader line just above the hook there, as you can see. As you can see, the hook baits and the hook are popped up off the bottom, but I can move that split shot either closer to or further away from the hook and kind of adjust how far I want it to lift up off the bottom. I really like this configuration. The hook's not dragging around on the bottom. I like this a lot. Here I've switched to the position of the cork and the tiger nut. The cork is closer to the hook with the tiger nut on the end, and I get the same result. Actually, I kind of like this a little bit better than the one just prior to this. And as you can see with the split shot on there, that sits really nicely there. The tiger nut is the uppermost part of the bait there that presents. The places where I fish, I don't think the fish can see the baits anyway because the water's so dirty. So I don't think visual cues are really a thing that matters much in my fishing. But maybe if you have clear water, that might be something for you to consider if you're fishing clear water. But I think this combination is a winner here. I think I'm definitely going to be using this season. Next up, I've got a couple of kernels of boiled feed corn and then a small piece of cork that's about the size of a kernel of sweet corn. And as you can see, that doesn't really pop it up at all. It still lays on the bottom. I'm sure it has a little bit of buoyancy and would waft up off the bottom easier than if it was just corn. And here I've switched the position of the cork to be at the end, farthest away from the hook. And as you can see, there's getting a little bit of wafting there. That the end of that hair is kind of lifting up off the bottom, and I like that quite a bit actually. It's not enough to get the hook up off the bottom, but it does kind of waft the kernels of corn up off the bottom a little bit. And then I could see how that would easily just go right up into a carp's mouth. And here I have 1 kernel of corn and that tiger nut sized piece of cork, and that's a very powerful pop-up right there. That lifts it right off the bottom. And again, I can adjust that height with a split shot there. That looks pretty good. I may use that sometime. And here's the same thing with the rolls reverse. Got the cork closest to the hook and get about the same result. So it seems like it doesn't matter with the position, corn versus cork, when it's just single pieces like that. Next up is a boilie. This is a sinking boilie, one of my homemade boilies. And I just wanted to see what adding a little piece of cork onto the hair with it would do. And clearly it's not floating. I think it probably does add a little bit of buoyancy. As you can see, the cork kind of wants to go up, but it's not enough to lift that boilie, that's for sure. Not sure if I'm ever going to use that. I just wanted to try it out and see what happened. And this is a pop-up that I made recently. Inside that boilie is a chunk of cork, and clearly that's not popping up. I clearly put too much dough around the cork, and I'm probably going to have to remake those, I think, because it's not floating. And so I'm going to have to put a much thinner layer of dough around the cork and give it another try. And this pop-up is a fail, I think. And this is just a larger version of the same thing. There's a bigger piece of cork inside the boilie there, and again, I'm sure it has more buoyancy than a sinking boilie, pure dough boilie does, but obviously it's not popping up like I had hoped it would. I'll break apart a little bit of that here and show you the cork on the inside there. You can see it. But yeah, I'm going to have to remake those. This was interesting. I'm glad I did this. And last but not least, here's a little zig bug that I've been made. I've fished with these before, but you've probably never seen it because I've never actually caught a fish with this. This is a zig bug intended for use for zig rigs. I wouldn't fish it like this next to a sinker. This is just an example here because I already had the sinker on. But this little bug is something I kind of made myself out of some tiny little creature baits and some foam. Pretty neat. I hope to catch a carp on this sometime this year. I'm going to keep trying the zig rigs. That's it. I hope you found that useful or entertaining. Thanks for watching. I appreciate it. See you on the next one.